Good morning. How are we feeling? Yeah, better than me. I'm feeling good at the moment. When I sit down later, I'm sure the energy will start going. But I was so looking forward to coming to see you. I had 2 flights from Poland yesterday via Germany to get here, and nothing was going to beat me, even though 2 of the motorways were shut last night or the early hours of this morning when I drove down. But I really wanted to be with you. And first thing I'd like to say to you is congratulations for being here, for making the time, for making the space to invest in yourself, to invest in your business, to really find out more, get some more creative ideas. And what I'd like to talk to you about this morning is the most important asset that you have in your business and in your life, and that is you. Would you agree with me? It's you. How often do we actually take time to look at ourselves? Because I think you are all incredible. You are amazing. There's never been anybody like you. You've got unique DNA, fingerprints, life experiences that have been and are yet to come, and there'll never be another you. And yet we're always looking outside of ourselves for the next thing and how do I learn more. But how often do we stop and think about ourselves? And what I want to ask you today is, are you brave enough? A lot of different things. Are you brave enough to be what? Well, first and foremost, are you brave enough to be you? The whole version of you. What I'd like everybody to do is stand on your feet. I would like you to think of yourself over the last 24 to 48 hours. And I want you to think about something that you're really proud of. Something that you've done that's gone well. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be a small thing. I'm proud of myself for getting here. And keeping awake on the M5 the last little bit. But what are you really proud of? And notice what's going on in your mind. Well, I haven't done anything amazing. You know, if you're speaking like that to yourself, then, you know, it's something to think about. It doesn't matter how big or small. And what I'd like you to do is turn to somebody near you who you don't know and share it with them. You've just got 1 minute to do that. Off you go. Okay, if you finish off your conversations, and take a seat, please. Wonderful. How did that feel? That feel good? Did it feel a bit strange to start with? How often do you do that? You know, people that I work with, I get them to do this as a habit every single day. What I'd like you to think about and be conscious of what are some of the habits that you have, both to start and end your day. So one of the things I encourage people to do is at the end of each day, think of what are the 2 or 3 things that I've done well today that I'm really proud of. It's not being big-headed. What it is doing is priming your brain for a good night's sleep. So any of you that struggle to sleep sometimes and can't switch off from what's going on at work or in your business or in the office, it's a great way to do that just before you're going to sleep. You're priming your brain for a good night's sleep. By the same token, first thing in the morning, what do? Now here's the watch out. Now we talked about how we're in a digital age. Please do not make it that you reach for your phone first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Why? Because if you reach for your phone and you start seeing all the challenges of the day ahead, then that brings in cortisol into your bloodstream. So you're starting off the day with stress. So if you can have 2 or 3 small things that you can do to start your day. So as I'm waking up, I'm thinking what I'm really grateful for. I'm thinking about my day ahead and I'm setting my intention for the day. What kind of day is it going to be today? When I work from home, I walk my youngest to school. Jack is 8. And as he's walking to school, and I say to Jack, what kind of day are you going to have today at school? And it's usually going to be a great day, it's going to be a fun day. I'm getting him priming his brain to set him up for the best possible condition, rather than, oh, I've got maths today, Mum, and I really don't like maths. And that's starting the day off with cortisol. So, and I get teams to do this. I've been with a team the last 2 days, and they've got a lot of challenges right now. They're going through a massive transformation. So I start off the session with successes. And if you have team meetings, I would encourage you to do the same. Why? Because it creates oxytocin, which is the neurochemical that makes us feel good. It's that chemical that, you know, when you first fall in love, when you're bonding with somebody, when you connect, it's that neurochemical. And when you've got that present in teams, it's incredible what you can achieve together. So a lot of people anybody use gap analysis at all for themselves, or kind of look where they're going and where the gap is still to go? I encourage you to use the reverse gap too. Because if you're forever looking at where you are now and the gap that's coming ahead, it's a bit like chasing the horizon. You never totally close the gap because you get there and then the gap moves ahead again and you're on to the next thing. But just sometimes stop and look at the reverse gap. So look at where we are today, how far we've got and what it's taken to get here. So I encourage teams just for 5 minutes at the beginning of a meeting to have a check-in, what they're proud of, what's gone well at the moment. So do that for yourselves, because you're then setting yourself up to be the best version that you can be. So I have a question. Anybody in the room got a challenge at the moment in their life? If anybody's got their hands down, I don't believe you. Yeah, anybody got several? Hopefully not too many, you know, but we've all got challenges. You know what? It's part of being human. It's part of being human, isn't it? Look for the gold, look for the nuggets, look for the gifts. One of the things I always say to people, and I sometimes have to bite my own tongue, and I think, God, when something's happened, there's a gift in this somewhere. I'm going to learn something. It's how you grow. It's how we stretch ourselves. But it's important just to remember that, because sometimes we can get too bogged down in the challenges and stuck, and then start blaming ourselves. The way that we talk to ourselves is crucial. That inner dialogue. Who do you talk to most in your life? It's yourself. As I'm talking to you now, you're replaying something in your mind. You might be going, well, I don't agree with that. What's this got to do with entrepreneurship? A whole host of different things will be going on. Yep, that's me to a T. Whatever you do, there are 2 fields of endeavour. Everything happens twice. You thought about coming here today. You know, you got the invitation from Drew. Then you booked the ticket, but you thought about it first. You checked in your diary, and then you did it, and then you showed up today. So everything happens twice. When people are looking to grow themselves, grow their businesses, they're often focusing on the outer game. What do I need to do more of? What are the skills I need? I need to know more about IT. I need to know more about sales, about getting more customers. But also we need to come from the inside out. That's my approach, that's my passion around leadership, coming from the inside out. What are your strengths? What are your values? What are your beliefs? And then use those to do whatever it is that you want to do. Your best self or your limited self. Do you ever have those days where you think, I just need to get through the day? Anybody that ever happened to anybody? Yeah, we do, don't we? And we're in a bit of a more limited place. It's what I'd almost call playing to avoid losing. One of my passions in life is football. Unfortunately, I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, being from Nottingham, so we're not doing so great at the moment. But I look at the footballers, and I kind of look at what's the inner game going on, as well as the outer game. And you can see in all sports, you know, tennis is another one that I love to watch. And sometimes I feel with tennis, there's more games are lost rather than won, because it's people's internal dialogue that starts coming into play and limits them. Would you agree? Does that ever happen to you? You know, you start talking yourself out of something. You have a great idea, and then you start telling yourself the reasons why. But that inner game as well as the outer game is crucial. And here, when you've got your best self, you know, when I go into organisations, I like to kind of challenge their thinking a little bit. And I'll say to them, what if I could do one thing around here, I would change the energy from fear to love. And they go, what is she talking about? I was with a bank last year, and they go, oh, that's really a bit weird, a bit PC. I said, okay, here's the thing. If you could guarantee all your teams, all your people loved coming to work every day, you love coming to work every day, your teams loved working for you, your customers loved coming in your branches, how would that be? I'm like, oh my God, it'd make life so much easier. Yeah, it would. But if you've got people in your business who are coming from a survival place and they're triggered into fear for whatever reason, then they're going to be operating from their limited self. And this is there's many different emotional models out there, but this is an emotional spectrum here. And over on the left, the survival place, you've got fear, you've got frustration, you've got anger, anxiety, you've got sadness, you've got shame, all of those things. And what that does, it creates cortisol. Here's the problem with that. If you're operating on that side, if you're having a day over there, you can't access your prefrontal cortex of your brain, the part that's going to give you all the ideas. You can only access what you've already done in the past. So when I'm working with teams and they've got a challenge to get over, I've got to get them into that oxytocin place. I've got to get them feeling good about themselves, even if they're in a real challenging situation. They've got to be looking at the possibilities rather than the problems and getting stuck in why it won't work and it's not happened in the past. So my question to you is, where are you operating from? What is your operating system on a day-to-day basis? Are you coming from fear and survival? Are you coming from that performance, the love aspect? Some people don't like the love side, but I personally do. But it's your choice. And that's the thing some people don't realise. Again, you can prime your day at the beginning of the day. Where are you going to come from? As I said, I love football, and I've got a good friend of mine, and he's an agent and for football players, right from the Conference League right to the top leagues. And I've coached a few footballers and ex-international footballers. And we were talking about the difference between those that play in the lower leagues and those that play in the Premier League and the Championship. And he said, Lisa, there is one big difference. And I said, right, okay. So is it what they do with the ball? Is it their ball skills? No, it's not their ball skills. Okay. Is it how much time they spend training? No, it's nothing to do with that. He said, there's several things that come into play, but the biggest thing is about how quickly they get over mistakes. So if they make a mistake, if they let a goal, if they foul somebody, if they miss an open goal, whatever it might be, they need to let it go like that in the moment, because otherwise they're triggered back into that cortisol side of it. So that is what the difference, and it's the same with all of us. You know, if you make a mistake, it doesn't make you a mistake. If you fail at something, it doesn't make you a failure unless you start telling yourself that way. So it's really important that you're constantly working on yourself. And by the way, did you know you hadn't just got one, but you've got 3 brains? There's a lot of research out there now which says we've not only got a brain in our head, but we've also got a brain in our heart and a brain in the gut. You want to look up the information. The scientific information is phenomenal. The brain in our heart is all around compassion. The brain in our head is meant to be about creativity. But you know, sometimes we use some of those resources. I talk about a magnificent 7 resources that we've got, and I'll just touch on 1 or 2 of them. Imagination being one of your biggest. And yet sometimes we use it in reverse, and we start thinking about all the things that could go wrong, all the reasons why it won't work, rather than imagining the best possible outcome. So it again is back down to choice. So your head brain's about creativity, your heart brain's about compassion. Compassion for yourself as well as others. A lot of people start it the other way around. You know, when I sat on the 2 flights last night, what did I hear them say when they were doing the security briefing? You know, if the cabin pressure drops, the oxygen mask come down, what do? You put your own on first, even if you've got a child with you. And it's the same with compassion and accepting ourselves. It's really important to do that. And the gut brain is all about courage. It's about taking action. The gut brain is really fascinating because that's where it creates around 70 to 80% of serotonin, which is one of the happy hormones that we have. And also it's where up to 85% of our immune system is based. There's a lot of books and literature now about keeping your gut happy. And there's also, for those people who suffer with stress, that actually they suffer with a lot of gut health issues. So here's the question. Are you brave enough? Are you brave enough? So brave I've broken down into an acronym, into bold, bold and brave. Are you bold enough and brave enough to go for what you really want? Are you bold enough and brave enough to go a different direction to everybody else? Because being an entrepreneur, really going out there, standing out with your business, means going in a different direction sometimes. Doing something out of the ordinary. And you have to make choices. You know, I've done that in my business, but in my personal life as well. My son, Jack, I talked to you about, he's 8. And he has a few challenges. He has something called retained reflexes. And I was told, right, what you need to do is this and that and the other. But I went and researched it. And I did something totally different. And I found an amazing guy who helps him with his movement and neural stimulations. But I went against what other people were saying to me and recommending. And sometimes well-intentioned friends and family and colleagues can try and talk us out of things and not be sensible. But we need to be bold enough and brave enough to go our own way. Are you ready? Are you ready to be the whole version of yourself? No mask, no suit of armor, just being you and put yourself out there. You know, if there's a client that you would love to work with, who is that? What is stopping you from picking up the phone, having that conversation right now? Are you ready enough to really go there? AAA battery here, accepting, access, activating. What I mean by that, I believe that you've got an amazing amount of treasure inside you. But here's the thing, you need to be able to accept it first of all, to access it. You know, some of the wisest, cleverest people on the planet are babies and toddlers. You know, when you see them, there's so much we can learn from them. They expect all their needs to be met. They're fully present in the moment. They know how to play and have fun. They laugh so many more times a day than we do. They never give up. I wonder what it would be like if as adults we had to learn to walk. Do you think we'd keep getting up that many times? Or do you think we'd go, do you know what? I'm just going to stay sat down for the rest of my life. But they, if you watch them, they fall down, they have a little cry, they get up again, and they get up again, and they get up again, don't they? And they're persistent. They don't give up. They're amazing. And one of the things we have to do, we need to accept ourselves fully. Warts and all. Not strive for perfection, but strive for excellence, but just accept ourselves for who we are. What we forget, what we don't do. Chris made a few comments about himself, you know, this morning. It's just being comfortable with that. Being comfortable with that. Are you values-led? Do you know what your values are? Do you know what motivates you? If I could give everybody on this planet a gift, it would be to know what their values are. So crucial. And are you living in line with them? Are they activated? Every day do you think about, am I in line with your values? If your life is stressful in any way, and it's totally uncomfortable, chances are that one or more of your values is out of alignment right now. So it might just be worth having a look at that. And are you expanding? Well, I think you are because you're here. You know, you decided to come along, maybe yesterday as well and today, and learn a bit more and listen to people and find out more. Are you expanding yourself? That's what we're meant to do throughout life. Keep expanding, and sometimes people play small, contract. But don't do that. Play full out, no matter what anybody says. So are you brave enough? Here's the thing. I love this quote. You will reach the level of your belief way before you reach the level of your potential and talent. It's your belief that will stop you. So recently, I was working with a guy who was going for a promotion. He was already on the UK board, and he was going for a job on the global board. So we met up, and he said, I just want to talk it through. I said, okay, where are you with it? And he went, I think there's some better candidates than me, so I'm not sure I'm going to get it. Okay, that's an interesting way of thinking, isn't it? Because guess what? If that's what you're thinking now, What's that going to show when you go in for the interview? Same as if you're pitching for a piece of business to a client. So if you're having a conversation, if you don't believe it's going to happen, that's going to come out in your body language, in your energy, absolutely everything. And we all get to times when, maybe we've expanded and then we hit our ceiling of belief. And then what we need to do is just take a good look at our beliefs and go again, and go again. So recognize and watch out for when you're reaching the ceiling. I get a lot of people who I work with who say, right, I'm up to it. So we spent some time, this guy, and we looked at his belief. That was the only thing that was holding him back, the only thing. And he shifted it around a little bit. He moved it. He created a mantra for himself, and he said something to himself every day when he got up. I can do this. I am brave enough. I'm going for this. I'm as good as anybody else. I think there's a big challenge in the world today, and that's people believing they're not enough in some way. But it's not true. It's not true. Maybe you were told that somewhere along the way. I know I was at 13. My art teacher, bless him, after I'd done my best attempt at copying a bowl of fruit. You remember doing that in art classes? He was walking around the class and he picked up my picture and went, Lisa Spencer, you're the most uncreative person I've ever seen. Put it down again and carried on. That affected me for the next 20 years of my life. I didn't realise it, but that comment went in and stayed in there as a belief. It was only years later when I was working in the Financial Times group, and the MD said to us, we need some creative thinking on this new project that we were launching. And out of my mouth came the words, well, that's me out, I'm not creative. And then I thought, fancy saying that in front of your MD. Fancy saying that, but I didn't contribute. Afterwards, my colleague challenged me. She went, Lisa, you're the one who never accepts no. You always saying to us, come on, we'll find a way around it. You're one of the most creative people I know. Never thought about creative like that. I always thought of my drawing skills. But it was only when I stood back and I looked at it and I thought, actually, I am creative. And I could change that belief in an instant. But for you, just be mindful about your level of belief. Is it stopping you in any way? What I'd like to leave you with is the thought that you are brave enough. Chris said about the book that I'm writing, I'm squeezing another one in before that one. Because one of the things, what are you doing at the moment, or what have you got in your mind's eye that scares you? What are you really aiming for? One of the things that I'm aiming for, I'm setting up a charity in memory of my dad. My dad did a lot for young people, and I'm passionate about the next generation and how we help them with their self-esteem and belief. So my next book is actually called Be You, Are You Brave Enough? And it's all going to go for the charity. And that's going to be, to start with, about helping kids in schools on their emotional well-being and confidence. But ultimately, I'd love to help contribute to a new way of educating kids. Because I wish I'd have known all of this stuff when I was at school. Wouldn't life have been a bit easier? Knowing that we are enough and that we're just good enough as we are, and to be brave enough. So, but what I would love to leave you with today, and I'll leave it at the breaks on your little chairs, is a card that says, I am brave enough. I have people who've got these all over the world, in their wallets, in their purses. I want to remind you, so when you're having one of those days where it feels like maybe nothing's going to work, maybe there are some real challenges there, that you can just see that and think, actually, you know what? I am brave enough. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take the next step, whatever that is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning. I'm going to be around for the day. I look forward to catching up with you.